Have you ever, evaluated a politician, just deciding whether you trust them or not? Literally just by looking at their face for a split second.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or, when you confidently buy a house or a car based on this overwhelming gut feeling.
Right. And then you wake up a week later and wonder, why exactly did I make that choice?
Exactly.
Why do we do that? I mean, we like to think we're these totally rational beings making conscious, well-weighed choices. But there is this entire hidden architecture running the show inside your head.
Yeah, we all operate under that illusion of total control, but, the manual to that hidden machinery tells a very different story.
Right.
When you look at the research, particularly the foundational work compiled by Daniel Kahneman in the book Thinking Fast and Slow, you realize we actually operate via two entirely separate, fundamentally different mental agents.
Okay, so we're talking about System 1 and System 2.
Exactly. And the goal of our deep dive today is to give you listening a richer vocabulary to spot the predictable, systematic errors or biases that steer your life every single day. And to do that, you really have to understand how these two systems interact.
So let's give you a proper introduction to these two characters. System 1 is, it's your fast track.
Right.
It is automatic, it's emotional, and completely uncontrollable. This is the system that instantly recognizes a tone of anger on the phone before the person even finishes their sentence.
Or, the part of you that immediately knows 2 + 2 = 4.
Right, you don't sit down and consciously decide to figure those things out. They just happen to you, like a reflex.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have System 2, which is the slow, deliberate, conscious part of your brain.
The thinker.
Right.
But
So if I ask you right now to calculate 17 times 24, your System 1 draws a complete blank. It has no idea.
definitely have no idea.
Right, you have to consciously recruit System 2 to hold those numbers in your working memory, line them up, and painstakingly work through the math. But the defining characteristic of System 2, and the thing that explains so much of human behavior, is that it is profoundly, unbelievably lazy.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Is System 1 basically like an overly enthusiastic intern? Constantly handing sticky notes of impressions and impulses and feelings to System 2.
I love that.
And then System 2 is like the exhausted boss that just lazily rubber stamps those notes without even checking the work.
That analogy captures the dynamic perfectly, actually. System 1 is the secret author of almost everything you do.
Wow.
Yeah. When things are going smoothly in your day-to-day life, System 2 just blindly adopts the intern's suggestions. You believe your automatic impressions and you just act on your immediate desires.
So when does the boss actually do some work?
System 2 only really steps in, pulls up a chair, and pays attention when a rule is broken, or a difficult problem arises that the intern simply cannot solve.
But, why is the boss so lazy? If System 2 is the logical, rational, smart part of us, wouldn't evolution want it running the show all the time to keep us making the best choices?
Well, engaging System 2 literally drains our physical biology.
Wait, literally?
Literally, mental effort is a highly demanding physical act. Evolutionarily speaking, if your brain engaged in deep methodical analysis for every rustling leaf or every minor choice, you would burn through your energy reserves.
So, and then you'd starve or get eaten while you were overthinking.
Exactly. The brain consumes a massive amount of glucose, and System 2 is a total energy hog.
Hold on. You're saying just thinking hard burns actual physical calories. Come on, there's no way doing a math problem in your head compares to running a mile or lifting weights.
Well, obviously it's not the same muscular output, but the physiological response is undeniable. Look at the add 1 and add 3 digit tasks from the source material.
Okay, what's that?
So if I give you a string of 4 numbers and ask you to mentally add 3 to each of them, pacing yourself to a steady, rhythmic metronome beat, your brain hits maximum capacity.
That sounds awful, honestly.
It's intense, and researchers can actually look at a biological electricity meter on your face, your pupils.
Wait, your pupils?
Yeah. During that intense focus, your pupils literally dilate up to 50%.
50%? That is huge.
Right. Your heart rate elevates, your body is physically working to sustain the mental effort, and that effort has a strict, finite limit.
Okay, wait. If System 2 is operating on a strict physical energy budget, does that mean being physically tired, or just skipping lunch fundamentally changes our logic or our moral choices?
It changes it drastically. There is a deeply unsettling study of 8 Israeli parole judges that illustrates this perfectly.
unsettling. How?
Well, these are highly trained, seasoned professionals making massive, life-altering decisions about whether someone stays in prison or goes free.
Right. Super high stakes.
Yeah, and the data showed that right after the judges had a meal, when their glucose levels were high and they were rested, they granted about 65% of parole requests.
Okay, 65% seems like a reasonable baseline. But what happened as the day went on?
As the hours ticked by and their physical energy depleted, that approval rate dropped steadily. Right before their next meal break, when System 2 was completely tapped out, the rate of granting parole dropped to almost exactly 0%.
Wait, 0? Just because they were hungry?
Essentially, yes. A tired, hungry System 2 just gives up and falls back on the absolute easiest default choice, which, for a judge, means saying no, avoiding the risk of releasing a prisoner, and just keeping the status quo.
They aren't even weighing the complex files anymore.
Exactly. The required mental effort is simply unavailable. And it's not just decision fatigue either. Intense focus actually physically blinds us to our environment.
Wait, blinds us?
Yeah, you've likely heard of the famous invisible gorilla experiment.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Viewers are instructed to intently count basketball passes between players wearing white shirts, and counting those passes maxes out System 2's budget.
Right.
Because of that, half of the viewers entirely miss a person in a full gorilla suit walking right across the middle of the screen, beating their chest.
Half of them.
Half. The visual cortex literally doesn't have the spare processing power to register the gorilla.
Okay, so because System 2 has this tiny, easily depleted battery, it has to rely on System 1 to navigate the world most of the time.
Yeah,
It needs that overly enthusiastic intern to just handle things.
exactly.
But that brings up a huge question. How does System 1 decide what to put on those sticky notes? Like, how does it choose what to tell us is happening?
It builds those impressions through hidden, invisible associations. The human brain is essentially a massive associative network.
Okay.
When one concept is triggered, it fires electrical signals down neural pathways to related concepts. This means our thoughts and actions are constantly being primed by our environment without us having any conscious clue that it's happening.
Here's where it gets really interesting for you listening. It's almost like our brain is constantly being hacked by the wallpaper of our environment, and we don't even know it's happening.
That's a great way to put it. Take the Florida effect study. Researchers had young college students arrange sentences using a series of words associated with the elderly. Words like Florida, forgetful, bald, wrinkle.
But not the word old itself.
Right, the actual word old was never used. But when the students finished the test and walked down the hallway to the next room, researchers secretly timed their walking speed.
Let me guess. Reading the word wrinkle somehow made 20-year-olds walk slower.
Considerably slower.
That's crazy.
The mechanism is fascinating. Reading those words activated the old age node in their associative network. That node is physically wired to other concepts, including slowness.
Wow.
The electrical cascade of those associations eventually reached the motor cortex controlling their legs, literally priming their physical bodies to act old.
Unbelievable.
Or consider the Lady Macbeth effect. People were asked to recall a time they did something unethical, or to actively lie to an imaginary person. Half did it over email, using their hands. Half did it over the phone, using their mouse.
Okay, don't tell me they suddenly wanted to clean themselves.
They did.
Okay.
Later, when evaluating consumer products, the people who lied over email, using their hands, showed a sudden, strong preference for buying soap.
And the phone people.
The people who lied over the phone, using their mouths, showed a preference for mouthwash.
No way.
Yeah. The brain feels morally stained, so it seeks physical cleansing specifically for the body part that committed the sin.
That is wild. The brain is literally translating a moral metaphor into a physical shopping preference.
And environmental priming goes even further into our social behavior. The sources highlight money priming.
What's that?
Just having a stack of Monopoly money sitting on a desk in the periphery of a participant's vision fundamentally altered their personality.
Fake me.
Fake money. They became more self-reliant, working longer on hard puzzles without asking for help, but they also became significantly more selfish.
Really? How so?
When an actor pretending to be a fellow participant dropped a box of pencils, the people primed with the Monopoly money picked up far fewer pencils to help.
Just from seeing fake board game money out of the corner of their eye, it triggered an entire network of, like, individualism or capitalism in their subconscious?
Precisely. And conversely, look at the British office honesty box.
Okay, tell me about that.
In a university office kitchen, there was a box to pay for tea and milk. Researchers placed a small banner above the price list. Some weeks it displayed a picture of flowers, other weeks it was a picture of staring human eyes.
Oh, I think I see where this is going.
During the weeks with the staring eyes, people contributed nearly 3 times as much money to the box.
3 times?
Yes. A purely symbolic printed reminder of being watched radically altered their moral behavior, entirely outside of their conscious awareness.
Okay, but if these environmental primes are hacking our behavior, how does System 1 decide what is actually true or false? If it's just reacting to a picture of eyes or fake money, how does it evaluate reality?
Well, it uses a biological dial inside your head called cognitive ease. System 1 constantly monitors how easy or difficult it is to process the information in front of it.
Okay.
When things are easy to read, or you've seen them before, or you're just in a good mood, the dial points to cognitive ease. That ease sends a powerful evolutionary signal to System 2.
Which is
It says, this environment is familiar. Familiar means safe. Safe means true. No need to wake up and work hard.
So wait, if I'm preparing a presentation for work, does this mean my font choice actually dictates whether my colleagues think my data is true?
Completely. The studies show that if you print the statement, Adolf Hitler was born in 1892 in high contrast, bold, highly legible ink, people are much more likely to believe it's true than if you print the exact same sentence in washed out, faint ink.
Just because of the font?
Yes. And for the record, the statement is false. He was born in 1889. But the brain translates the visual ease of reading the clear font into an illusion of truth. System 1 says, this was easy to process, so it must be a fact.
And it works with sound too, right?
Uh-huh.
The text mentions rhyming aphorisms.
Yeah.
Like phrases like woes unite foes are judged by people to be significantly more insightful and profound than the exact same idea phrased without a rhyme.
Right, like woes unite enemies.
Yeah. It just feels smoother to the ear, so our brain assumes it contains deeper wisdom.
Exactly. Now, flip that dial to cognitive strain. When information is hard to process, it feels unfamiliar and potentially dangerous. That strain is the alarm bell that wakes up the lazy boss. It mobilizes System 2.
Got it.
There is a famous math puzzle designed to exploit this. A bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost?
Right, so your brain instantly screams 10 cents. It feels so obvious.
Yes.
But if the ball is 10 cents and the bat is $1 more, the bat is $1.10, that makes the total $1.20. So the real answer has to be 5 cents. It's incredibly simple math. But our System 1 aggressively pushes the 10-cent illusion because it feels cleaner and easier.
And more than 50% of students at elite universities fall for that exact 10-cent impulse. They don't bother to check the math.
Wow.
But the researchers did something brilliant. They printed that exact same puzzle in a washed-out, hard-to-read, terrible font. When they did that, the mistake rate dropped from 90% down to 35%.
So the visual strain of squinting at the bad font physically forced the lazy System 2 to wake up, lean forward, and say, wait, this is hard to read. Let me actually do the math here.
Precisely. When we are in a state of cognitive ease, we don't bother to check the facts. We just use whatever limited information is right in front of us to jump to a massive conclusion.
So if cognitive ease tricks System 1 into believing a good font makes a fact true, what does System 1 do when it's completely missing facts? Does it just guess?
Worse than guessing. It literally invents a reality using only the tiny sliver of information it currently has. Kahneman calls this WYSIATI. What you see is all there is.
WYSIATI.
Right. System 1 refuses to tolerate missing information. It demands a coherent narrative, so it builds the best possible story out of only the currently activated ideas, completely ignoring the vast universe of things it doesn't know.
This is what creates the halo effect, right? Where we judge a whole person based on one trait, like the example of Alan and Ben from the text.
Yes, perfect example.
So if you read a list of traits about a guy named Alan, starting with intelligent, industrious, but ending with stubborn, envious, you generally walk away liking Alan.
Right.
But if you read the exact same traits for Ben, just reversed, starting with envious, stubborn, and ending with intelligent, you dislike Ben.
Because the very first traits you see create a halo that colors everything else. System 1 immediately builds a story. Alan is smart and hardworking, so his stubbornness is just him being highly principled. Ben is envious and stubborn, which means his intelligence just makes him dangerous. System 1 didn't wait for all the data. It built a reality out of the first 2 words.
It sounds like System 1 is playing a game of Jeopardy, but when it doesn't know the answer to a hard question, it secretly wipes the board and substitutes an easy question it does know the answer to.
I love that analogy. And it validates it with the dating and happiness survey from the text.
Oh, yeah. How did that work?
When students were asked, how happy are you these days? Followed by, how many dates did you have last month? There was almost zero correlation. Their dating life didn't seem to have any bearing on their overall happiness.
But then they flipped the order, right?
They did. When they asked how many dates did you have first, and then asked how happy are you, suddenly the correlation was massive. The students whose dating lives were struggling reported terrible overall life satisfaction.
Right, because System 1 looked at the question, what is my overall philosophical life satisfaction? And decided that was way too much work. So it wiped the board and substituted, how do I feel about my recent dates?
Exactly.
And said, okay, I'm bummed about that, so I'll just put that answer down for my whole life.
We do it visually, too, through the 3D heuristic.
What's that?
If you look at a drawing of two identical 2D figures placed inside a picture of a hallway receding into the distance, your brain automatically makes the figure in the back look massive.
Right, an optical illusion.
Yeah. You were asked a simple question about the 2D size of ink on a page, but your brain substituted a highly complex question about 3D size in the physical world.
Wow.
And the most dangerous version of this is the effect heuristic. We let our emotional likes and dislikes completely determine our beliefs about risks and benefits.
Like with politicians.
Exactly. If you emotionally like a politician, your System 1 will automatically substitute that warm feeling for actual analysis, leading you to inherently believe their policies are low risk and high reward, even if you haven't read a single word of those policies.
So this habit of substituting questions and relying only on the tiny sliver of information right in front of us, this WYSIATI thing, this must make us spectacularly bad at understanding the world objectively, especially when it comes to statistics.
Oh, it makes us terribly equipped for the modern statistical world. System 1 is an aggressive, pattern-seeking machine. It absolutely demands a cause and effect story for everything.
Okay.
It fundamentally cannot process the idea of random statistical variance. A perfect illustration of this is the kidney cancer paradox from the source material.
Okay, let's walk through this one carefully because it really exposes how desperate the brain is for a story. If you look at the counties in the United States with the absolute lowest rates of kidney cancer, you find a distinct demographic profile.
Right.
They are mostly rural, sparsely populated, and traditionally Republican counties located in the Midwest, South, and West.
And the moment System 1 hears that, it goes to work writing a causal narrative. It's the clean country living. There's no air pollution, they eat fresh farm food, they have traditional values. The lifestyle is protecting them from cancer.
Right, and just to be clear for you listening, we need to state impartially that how these counties vote, whether they're deep red or bright blue, is completely irrelevant to the actual medical data here. We are just looking at the math.
Completely irrelevant, yes.
But our brains instantly grab onto those political and geographic labels because they make for such a compelling narrative. But here's where the paradox hits. If you look at the counties with the absolute highest rates of kidney cancer, what are they?
They're mostly rural, sparsely populated, and traditionally Republican counties located in the Midwest, South, and West.
Wait, but how can the highest and the lowest be exactly the same types of counties? The clean living story completely falls apart.
It does, because the real cause has absolutely nothing to do with lifestyle, geography, or politics. It is simply a mathematical artifact. It's the law of small numbers.
Explain that.
Rural counties have very small populations. And statistically, small sample sizes always yield much more extreme outcomes, both high and low.
Oh, right. It's like flipping a coin. If I flip a coin 3 times, I might easily get 3 heads in a row.
Yeah.
That's 100% heads. It looks like a massive anomaly.
Exactly.
But if I flip that same coin 3,000 times, it's going to settle right around 50%.
That's it. If a rural county only has 100 residents and just one person tragically gets kidney cancer, the rate for that county spikes to 1,000 per 100,000. It looks like an epidemic.
And if 0 people get it, the rate is 0, which looks like a medical miracle.
Right. It's just random variance swinging wildly in a small bucket. But System 1 hates random math glitch as an answer. It demands a story, so it invents a narrative about clean living to explain the zeros, and a narrative about rural healthcare deserts to explain the spikes.
Wow, we are completely blind to statistical reality because we are addicted to narrative.
Addicted is the right word.
Okay, I can accept that our brains struggle with complex statistics and variance. We invent stories to fill the gaps. But surely we aren't completely fooled by totally random numbers. Like, if I just spin a roulette wheel right now, that random number isn't going to change how much I think my house is worth.
Well, I have very bad news for you. It absolutely will.
You're kidding.
No, this is the phenomenon known as the anchoring effect. The authors conducted an experiment where they rigged a wheel of fortune to only stop on the numbers 10 or 65. They spun it in front of a group of university students, let them see the number, and then immediately asked them a wildly unrelated question. What is your best guess of the percentage of African nations in the United Nations?
A question that has literally zero connection to a carnival wheel.
None whatsoever.
Okay.
But the students who saw the wheel land on 10 guessed on average 25%. The students who saw the wheel land on 65 guessed 45%.
That is insane.
That completely random number embedded itself in their subconscious and acted as a magnetic anchor, pulling their estimates toward it.
But those are college students, guessing trivia they probably don't know anyway. What about seasoned experts? Like, what about professionals dealing with real money and high stakes?
The anchoring effect doesn't care about your expertise. Researchers brought in professional real estate agents to appraise a house. Half of the agents were given a massively inflated listing price on the brochure. Half were given an artificially low listing price.
And I bet they all thought they were being objective.
Oh, afterward, the agents proudly claimed they completely ignored the listing price and used their own expert metrics. But the data showed a massive 41% anchoring effect on their final appraisals.
Unbelievable.
The random number they saw first physically moved thousands of dollars of real-world value in their professional brains.
That is genuinely terrifying.
It gets much darker. Consider the study of German judges.
Oh boy.
These were legal professionals with an average of 15 years of courtroom experience. They were asked to read a case file about a woman caught shoplifting. After reading the file, they rolled a pair of loaded dice.
Loaded dice.
Yes. The dice were rigged to either land on a 3 or a 9. The judges were then asked to sentence the shoplifter. The judges who rolled a 9 gave the woman an average of 8 months in prison. The judges who rolled a 3 gave her an average of 5 months.
Wait, months of a human being's life, either taken away or given back, because a completely unrelated pair of plastic dice anchored the subconscious of a veteran judge?
Yes. System 1 is desperately trying to construct a cohesive world where the anchor makes sense, and System 2 is simply too lazy and energy depleted to fully adjust reality away from that starting point.
Wow. This has been a massive journey through the architecture of the mind. Let's pull the lens back for a second to summarize.
Sure.
Our brains are essentially run by these two systems. System 1 is this incredibly fast, associative, conclusion-jumping, mood-driven machine. It's the overly enthusiastic intern that confidently feeds us sticky notes telling us the world makes sense.
Yeah.
And System 2 is the boss. It's capable of complex math, deep logic, and true rationality.
Yeah.
But it is profoundly lazy, highly susceptible to physical exhaustion, and mostly just rubber stamps whatever the intern hands it.
Exactly. And recognizing this dynamic is really the only way to gain any real agency over your decisions. You can never turn System 1 off. You are never going to stop the anchoring effect or the halo effect or WYSIATI from forming your initial gut impression.
Right.
But by learning this vocabulary, you can learn to recognize the environmental triggers and the situations where systematic errors are highly likely. When you realize the stakes are high, you can deliberately force that lazy System 2 to wake up and do the math.
So here is one final provocative thought for you to mull over as you step back into your day. Think about the biggest, most complex decision you are facing right now. A career move, a relationship, a major purchase. Now, take a step back and ask yourself, are you actually answering the complex question in front of you? Or did your lazy System 2 just let your enthusiastic System 1 wipe the board and substitute a much simpler question about how you happen to feel in this exact moment?
That is the big question.
The next time you find yourself judging a politician's character by the shape of their jawline, or betting your savings on a house because the font on the brochure was easy to read, remember the intern and the boss. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.